All right, let's jump right in. Today we're talking about a concept that could completely flip the script on how we build software. I mean, think about moving beyond all those lines of code and into a world of pure intention. It's called vibe coding, and it all starts with one simple but really powerful question. Seriously, just picture this for a minute. What if, instead of grinding away for hours, days, maybe even weeks, writing all this complicated code, you could just describe what you want? In plain English. You just say what you want an app to do, and poof, it comes to life.
And that right there is the big promise. Forget about the semicolons, forget hunting for that missing bracket, forget all that endless debugging just to fix a simple syntax error. The whole idea is to take your vision, your vibe, and turn it straight into a product that actually works.
And this is actually where the name comes from. The term was coined back in February 2024 by Andrej Karpathy, a huge name in AI from his work at OpenAI and Tesla. His vision was for a future where a developer's main job isn't to write the code, but just to explain the feeling, the function, and then let the AI do all the heavy lifting. Okay, so what does vibe coding actually mean when the rubber hits the road? To really get it, we've got to look at the tech that's making it all possible and, how we even got to this point in the first place. So at its heart, vibe coding is all about a partnership with some seriously powerful AI, specifically what we call large language models, or LLMs. Basically, these things have been trained on just unimaginable amounts of code. So they've learned how to take our normal, everyday language descriptions and translate them directly into code that actually runs. And look, this whole thing didn't just appear out of thin air. The seeds were planted way back in 2021 with tools like GitHub Copilot. You remember that? The thing that would suggest lines of code as you typed? But it really took off after Karpathy gave the idea a name and a vision in 2024. Suddenly, we started seeing these true vibe coding platforms pop up. I'm talking about tools like Replit Agent, where you can literally build and deploy an entire application just from a prompt. It's turning that vibe into real working software.
So what does this new reality actually unlock for us? Well, for anybody who builds things, creators, entrepreneurs, the promise here is nothing short of a total game changer in how fast an idea can become a reality.
Just think about the speed for a second. For a startup, being able to build a quick prototype is, well, it's everything. Vibe coding could potentially make that whole process 10 times faster. A 10x speed boost. That means founders can build, test, and tweak things at a pace that was just, honestly, unthinkable until now. And the upsides here are just massive. First off, accessibility. All of a sudden, anyone with a great idea can start building, whether they're a programmer or not. This just crushes development times. And for the developers, it's freeing. It lets them focus on the big picture, the user experience, the innovation, instead of getting bogged down in the weeds of syntax. This could fundamentally change who gets to be an entrepreneur. But a revolution this big never comes without some serious challenges. So it's definitely time for a reality check on all this optimism. Exactly. It all sounds a little too good to be true, doesn't it? And like with any powerful new technology, there's always a catch. And believe me, with vibe coding, the risks are just as big as the rewards. And this really gets to the heart of the trade-off. That amazing speed we just talked about, well, it can also lead to really sloppy, inefficient, or sometimes just broken code. And opening the doors for everyone to build stuff, that's great. But it also opens the door to huge security holes if the AI writes insecure code. And then there's the big one. If we start leaning on AI for everything, what happens to our own programming skills? We could see a real decline in deep expertise across the board. So, where does all this leave us? Well, the future probably isn't about AI just replacing humans. It's much more likely about forging a brand new kind of partnership. One where we use the strengths of both to create something even better. To get there, though, researchers have already pointed out the big things we need to tackle. We've got to build frameworks to make sure the code the AI spits out is actually reliable and secure. We need to seriously study how programming skills are going to change and then adapt how we teach people. And of course, we have to deal with the massive economic and ethical questions, like what happens to jobs, who's responsible when things go wrong, and hey, who even owns the code that an AI writes? So, if you take one thing away from all this, it should be this. Vibe coding isn't about automation. It's about augmentation. It's an incredibly powerful tool, no doubt. But like any powerful tool, it needs a skilled operator. Human oversight, human expertise, human judgment.
These things aren't just important, they're absolutely essential to guide the AI, to check its work, and to make sure the final product is solid, safe, and truly innovative.
And this leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. If building software becomes more about describing your vision in clear, effective language, what does that mean for the future of so-called technical skills? We might just be entering an era where the ability to communicate and articulate an idea, the vibe, becomes the single most valuable skill in all of technology. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.